In this video, we're going to move on from finding the slope of a line from a graph or from 2 points to how to graph a line when you're given its slope and a point. So in doing this, we're also going to come up with a summary for how to graph all slopes. So what we're going to start with is a positive slope. A positive slope is any line that rises from left to right. So how do we graph a positive slope? Well, first thing you need is a point. So if we're going to start with the point 3, 1, we're going to go right 3 and up 1. Then we're going to do a slope of 2/3. So a slope of positive 2/3 can be written like this: positive 2 over positive 3, or negative 2 over negative 3. Both of these would simplify to a positive slope of 2/3. I'm going to show you how that works. When you're graphing slope, slope is a rise over a run. When you have a positive rise, that's going to cause you to go up. And when you have a positive run, that's going to get you to go right. So when you're graphing slope, you always rise before you run. So we're going to go up 2 and right 3. So the point 6, 3 is another point on this line. If I asked you to graph this positive slope as negative 2 over negative 3, your rise would be in a negative direction. So this is going to get you to go down. And then your run would be in a negative direction, which would be left. So from that same point 3, 1, we'd go down 2 and left 3. And if you notice, if I drew a line through these 3 points, they connect. So it didn't matter whether I went up and right or down and left, they all became points on the line. And the nice thing about knowing the slope is you can draw as many points that will fit. So I could go down another 2 and left another 3. I could go down another 2 and left another 3, but I could only do that in this direction. I couldn't go up 2, right 3 anymore. So it's good to be able to know how to go both directions. Then you can connect your dots, because this is just a representation, and make sure you extend beyond and put arrows. So as a summary, if you're graphing a positive slope, you have to go 2 positive directions, so up and right, or 2 negative directions. So you could go down and left. So again, up and right are your positive directions, down and left are your negative directions. Moving on to a negative slope. A negative slope is a line that falls from left to right. So how do we graph that? Well, if I wanted to start with the point 2, negative 3, you always have to start with a point. And I wanted it to have a slope of negative 2 over 1, or negative 2, I should say. I just gave away the next part. When you have a slope of negative 2, that tells you your rise, but you can't see your run. So what you always do is put it over 1. So anytime they give you an integer or a whole number, make sure that you put it over 1, and that will give you your run. So this is an example of a negative slope. You could go a rise of negative 2, which would be down, and then a positive run, which would be right. So I'm going to go from this point, I'm going to go down 2, right 1. Can I go another down 2, right 1? Nope, so that's good. But let's say I wanted 3 points for this line. How else could I do a negative slope? Well, instead of negative 2 over positive 1, I could do positive 2 over negative 1, which would tell me to rise up and run left. So from this point to negative 3, I could go up 2 and left 1. And notice how these are going to all be on the same line, and I can keep going. 2 up, 1 left, 2 up, 1 left, 2 up, 1 left, and these all are on the same line with that same consistent slope. So when you're graphing a negative slope, there's 2 options. You can go down in your rise and right in your run, so 1 negative direction, 1 positive direction, or you could go up and left, which is again still 1 positive direction, 1 negative direction. So again, up and right are positive, down and left are negative. So if you're doing a negative slope, you can go up and left or down and right. The next 2, there's only really 1 option for graphing them. This first one is an undefined slope. So if I wanted to go through the point -3, 0, that's a point here on the x-axis, it's an x-intercept, and I wanted an undefined slope. An undefined slope means that it's being divided by 0. So that means that you have a rise, but you have no run. And what that would mean from a graphing perspective is that you could rise without ever running. And so you end up with this vertical line. So an undefined slope is a vertical line. And as an extra extension, vertical lines pass through an x point. So the equation of this line would be x equals -3. The more I say it, the more it might stick. The next slope is a slope of 0. So if I was going to graph through the point 0, 5, and I wanted to graph a slope of 0, that means it's 0 over some run. That means there's no rise, only a run. And so you end up being able to go left and right, but you never go up and down. And so you end up with this slope of 0 or a horizontal line. Horizontal lines always pass through a y-intercept, so the equation of this line would be y equals 5. All right, go practice a few of that and we'll come back to the next video.